Hey everyone! On this week's episode of Being Better Beans, we're chatting with Noel Young, better known as the local brick shop over on Twitch. He's a full time content creator and a pillar of the brick building community over there, and we talk about how he's grown from a part time streamer to a full time streamer and now a Twitch partner, and his strategies and habits for doing so. Hope you enjoy it. Welcome on in, local. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going? It is great. It is great, and it's great to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me on to onto being a better bean.
Well,
I hope to
this
be a better
this
bean.
this show is about more than just like the brick building community, but having seen you grow as a streamer getting started, I knew I wanted you as a guest because you went from, like any streamer starting out, to being a real like pillar of the community on Twitch. For those who don't know, the brick building community on Twitch has kind of been growing by leaps and bounds over the last several years, and the local brick shop, our guest tonight, is a big part of that. So thank you for spending time with us tonight and letting us, you know, hear some of your stories and some of your experiences, and kind of how you grew and how you find balance in your life around the full-time streaming schedule. So can you just let people know what it is you do on Twitch and how much time you spend streaming each week?
Absolutely. Well, I tend to stream about 4 days a week. Sometimes it'll be five, but you'll find me every day, guaranteed, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 10:30 a.m. Eastern to 3:30 p.m., where we will generally talk about the Lego news. So you hear that a lot. What is the Lego news? Any new releases, any new contests, any interesting tidbits or facts that may be going on in the Lego world. If there's some big shows coming up, or if anyone has sort of made headlines in the Lego community on the news, then we're going to talk about it. We're going to find it. We're going to chat about it. That's what we do. And we'll even throw in some good sales and deals when they're out there. We'll find you the best deals out there. Now, news doesn't take up the entire stream, so we do also. I do run a shop on the weekends where I sell, sort, buy, trade, do everything Lego related again. So we'll sort Lego on stream as well. So you'll find me sorting through minifigures. Typically, I do the minifigures on stream because they're the most interesting thing to stare at for a little while and talk about, and say where they're from and all that kind of stuff. So I aim to do my best to sort of share my knowledge of Lego with everyone that I can. Finally, we have, of course, Antique Brick Show, as you mentioned, which is every Thursday, which is sort of a show and tell of the Lego world, where people can share their collections, share their, maybe some of their big buys or lots or their mocks, and we'll share them on screen and talk about them with the whole community. Finally, I guess the last thing that we do is every Wednesday night I will stream from usually 8 p.m. till about midnight, again Eastern. Tend to build something different every week, always changing.
Who knows?
We always guarantee a giveaway. Always guarantee a giveaway every single Wednesday. That's the other sort of main thing. I always want to give back to the community. So, yeah, I think that answered most of your question.
I think that's it. Yeah, but I mean, it's a lot, right? And you did touch on the store, and I was going to bring that up as well, because you basically took like a hobby as a Lego fan, right, and turned it into a successful, source of income, streaming and running your store. So what was kind of, I know they didn't both happen at the same time, so can you take us through a little bit of your approach to starting the store, and then why you started to stream and how you kind of brought those together?
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess it all sort of starts with Lego, obviously. I've always been interested in Lego since I was, a wee tyke, if you will, knee high.
Knee high to a grasshopper.
Yeah, pretty much. I think I was about that height, so there's markings on a wall somewhere, I'm sure. But yeah, I've collected Lego for as long as I can remember, and a lot of people will have a dark ages, especially in like high school and college, university, and that sort of thing. I slowed down, but never stopped. I never fully stopped. I would still, walk through the toy aisle if I went to a department store, or I would still look for Lego at yard sales or thrift stores or flea markets and things like that. So the selling part started calculating 11 and a half, close to 11 and a half years ago now. We're getting up there. Maybe it's 11 and a quarter. A long time ago.
A while ago.
Where I was working at a thrift store, and I was chatting with one of the guys I worked with, a friend at the time. And we thought, this is when Storage Wars was a big thing. And we thought how cool it would be to actually go out, buy storage lockers, and go treasure hunting, basically. Who doesn't like treasure hunting, right? So the idea was that we would consider doing this, but it's like, okay, well, where do you get rid of everything? Because you bought this storage locker. What do you do with it all, though? Flea market. That's what you're going to do. You're going to get a flea market booth. We're going to run it together, and then we're just going to sell off all the junk that we don't want, keep the goodies that we do want. It'll be perfect. All right. One problem with this, though. You need something to sell there first. You got to get the market. You got to have something in there to sell. Like, well, I've got extra Lego because I've been still buying collections and things like that. He's got extra Transformers because he was a huge Transformers collector. I'm like, this is perfect. They'll go great together in the begining. We'll buy look for toys.
Yeah, Toy Story, exactly.
Exactly, right? At a flea market. It's fine. So I went through, we found a spot to rent and went through the paperwork, signed it all up, and I'm like, okay, let's do this. Chatted with my friend at the time. Oh, I don't know if I can do this. Wait, what? But it started like, all right, fine, whatever. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot anyway. I brought a bunch of stuff in. I talked with my dad at the time, who had all kinds of extra stuff. He was an avid yard sailor as well, so he had extra toys and games, and he used to have a hobby shop, so he had extra stuff from there as well. Brought that in to fill in my little booth, and that's where it sort of began.
It must have been hard to go with your plan of I'm going to do this with a partner to all of a sudden doing it by yourself. Like, I mean, you make it sound like it was a simple thing to just kind of go ahead, but it must have been pretty stressful.
It was a little stressful. I mean, I guess I didn't really realize how far it was going to go at the time. Because again, it was a flea market. It's like, okay, it's just the weekend. It's not a big deal. I have a full-time job, obviously, on the side. But now it's, okay, you're doing this 7 days a week. But it was something I enjoyed. So it didn't really feel like work too much at the time anyway. But in terms of the Twitch side of it, take us to about... let's see, that would have been about 2012. So then 8 years later, when the world decided to end, or thought it was going to end anyway. And at that point, I didn't have a job. I'd been through a couple jobs in the meantime. Lost my job just before COVID, and then couldn't find anything, of course, because the world shut down. So I was just sort of sitting back and relaxing, watching, and that's when I started getting to Twitch. I started watching Twitch. Thanks to drops for a game that I was playing at the time, like seeing advertisements. Oh, just go watch this person and you'll get free stuff for your game. That's fantastic. Yeah, I'm watching this guy play Sea of Thieves. I'm like, this is whatever. This is interesting. I like the game. It's fine. But one thing he did do was he was passionate about what he did, and he did giveaways all the time. I'm like, well, why couldn't I do this? Like, I searched around a little bit, looked for Lego, because it was something I'm passionate about. I'm like, why couldn't I do this? So I look around, there's not a lot of people at the time doing Lego, and when they are, it's, very sporadic at that point. It's not like now where you pretty much can go on at any time, find someone streaming Lego. Instead, it was, there's no one really there. I'm like, well, I know Lego, not doing a lot. Why don't I give it a shot? Still sitting here with the COVID lockdown and all that. We'll give that a shot during the week. So I sort of started with that. And the main thing I think that really made me push it is that I saw the success. That one thing this guy did is he did giveaways, I want to say every stream, basically. Now, this was, of course, digital codes for the game, Sea of Thieves, but it was exciting. It was exciting just to sit there. Like, it made me sit there. It made me watch him. It made me tune in. So that I was amassing these points. I'm like, well, I could do that. I have Lego, and shipping a few minifigures can't be that expensive, or a poly bag here or there, something like that. And that's sort of where I got the idea. Okay, we're gonna start the stream, and I'm gonna guarantee a giveaway. every week or something like that. That was sort of what I was thinking. I'll do one a week. And sure enough, that's sort of where it began, where the Twitch side of things began anyway.
Yeah. And I mean, and I was there in some of the early streams, and your stream has evolved quite a bit, which we'll kind of get into how it has done that. But one of the earliest things you did was the sorting of minifigures that you mentioned, and that was one of the things I tuned in for early, was, you know, seeing a pile of minifigures and going, oh, I want to go check this out, you know, and chatting with you a little bit about it. And like, that's one really good way that I kind of complemented the store, because I've also been in these streams now where you're sorting, and people in chat will go ahead and, you know, say, I want that now, you know, just put it aside for me and I'll pay you for it. So like, how did you feel about kind of the way these things kind of came together? Did you expect that? Did you hope for that? What was your thought process as it kind of started?
I don't think it was something I really thought about in the beginning, that, you know, using Twitch as a selling platform necessarily. It was more of a promotional platform for the shop while I sorted. And then just, you know, I did want to be at least a little educational when it came to Lego. And like I said, help people learn about their minifigures and about sets and about things that were coming out and stuff like that. When people started saying, oh, I kind of want that, and when I knew at that point sort of the realisticness of shipping Lego, and it's not very expensive for the most part when it's just, again, smaller pieces. Yeah. I thought, okay, we can make this work. This is easy enough. And that's probably about when the yoink command came into play. I don't remember who started that, but someone definitely did, and it never left. That's for sure. Yeah. But yeah, now when I'm sorting minifigures, if someone sees something that I've sorted, it's completed, I've got a price on it, and they want it, then yes, they can yoink it off screen, and then I put it aside with their name on it, and keep a record of who's yoinking what, and I, you know, get in touch and make sure that everything gets covered. Yeah. And I've had many happy people that way. So
yeah. And you've mentioned like never having a dark ages, which is the term that, you know, AFOLs, adult fans of Lego, will use to, you know, reference that period between being a kid and having Lego, and then growing up and coming back to Lego. I'm one of them that had a period. You mentioned not having one, and one of the things I guess that leads to is the fact that because you didn't really stop, and the knowledge kind of kept going, and you saw a lot of these sets, even if you didn't buy them at the time, as they've evolved. A lot of your conversations in stream relate to things, you know, sets, figures, whatever, that, you know, came out 5, 6, 7 years ago and people weren't in Lego, you know? Do you look back at that time and think, you know, I'm lucky I did that, you know, that has helped me? Or do you just kind of take it as, people like this information and I'm happy to provide it?
I mean, I'm always happy to provide the info, for sure. There's definitely... So, I wouldn't say I never had a Dark Ages. Okay. What I typically say is my Dark Ages were, like, my personal Dark Ages were sort of within me owning the shop, within me actually selling Lego. There was a period in there that I wasn't really buying for myself so much. Okay. It all became business. Mm-hmm. So... Don't get me wrong, I still had a passion for it, I still loved it, but the realism was I'm buying these sets to sell. I'm not buying them to put on a shelf behind me, for example. Mm-hmm. Then, no, you're right. There's definitely nothing back there. But then when it came to Twitch, and again, in the beginning, I'm like, well, I'm going to start building sets. That's sort of my weekly goal, is to build something, you know, have a little bit of fun with it. I started off buying a few sets. So I started off with like the bonsai tree and the Boba Fett's helmet, and buying sets for myself and sort of enjoying the build, and then realizing I'm building this at home for myself now. It's a little bit different. Yeah. And it really hit hard, I think, when I was building the it's one of the castles behind me, the what's it called? It's the Crown Knight Castle. It's got the big black dragon and things. I got that in a lot and had the intention of building it to bring it into the shop, because I, believe it or not, I sold castle sets at the shop, and I think back and it hurts a little bit, but that's besides the point. Mm-hmm. But I was building it with the intention to sell it. I even had this purchaser, you know, the sale was lined up and everything, but once it was complete and I looked at it, I'm like, I can't get rid of it. I can't do this. No, I can't do it. And that's sort of when I would say I really got out of my Dark Ages, started paying way more attention to things that I wanted, Because
fair.
yes, there's so many things that I saw in stores, because I definitely, like I said, I've never stopped going to stores, Toys R Us, looking at sales, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I was never really amassing for myself, essentially, at that point. It was mostly just for the shop. So
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, I looked at it, when I saw your stream sorting, and I looked at it as a way for you to kind of share your process for your store, because you're, buying a lot and then going through that lot to see what you can sell, piece together some sets, find the minifigures. And I looked at it as you're now doing this on stream, sharing it with other people, but you're going to do that anyway for your store, right? Um, what about the stuff you do off stream now? How much time do you spend off stream working on things related to either the store or the stream itself? Like, let's say, generating ideas for content, stuff like that. Because I think it's kind of like an iceberg where people see the part that you're live, but there's much more, beneath the surface. So can you give us a clue as to how much work goes on, in the brick shop that we don't see?
I mean, you're 100% right. Like, yes, most viewers will see the stream, so you see what's going on right now, and you think it's as simple as, okay, I wake up in the morning, I go sit in front of a computer, I hit go live, and let's go. Unfortunately, it's not. Unfortunately, there is a lot more that goes into it, for sure. Sort of my daily routine on those Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays when I'm talking about the news is to wake up, have a cup of coffee, get ready, sort of thing. And then I spend a good hour and a half or so, usually before stream, just sort of looking through the web, looking for the news articles that I'm going to chat about that day.
Find the headlines.
Any sales and things. Yeah, the headlines. I have a couple of Discords that I sort of poke through to find more info that isn't as easily findable online necessarily. Like, I do try to do a bit of digging. It's not as simple as, go to Google, type Lego News, hit go live, and then, oh, what's popping up this time?
Like, just read whatever Google shows you.
Yeah, like it is a bit more than that. Now I do have like my 4 or 5 websites that I typically go to, and I'll open those ones pretty much right away.
Mm-hmm.
Take a look through them. They almost always have something new for me to go through. Sometimes it's minor, sometimes there's a lot of stuff, like a lot of new releases or something like that. But other times there'll be an interesting, informative article about maybe a set, or even if it's just someone's opinion on something. I like to sort of go over that as well, because that can generate topics to discuss on stream,
Mm-hmm.
which people may not have thought of. It may bring a different light to a set that may have been viewed poorly in the first place, and then after talking about it, you sort of like, what, it's kind of growing on me now.
Mm-hmm.
Or you might go the other way, of course, as well, where what you thought was this great set or great minifigure or something like that, it no longer has that same sort of you come to the realization that, wait, maybe I don't need that because it's not as good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I spend a couple hours a day doing that on those sort of streams. And then there's just stream setup and maintenance. Like, we're talking programs updating, adding new commands. As you've mentioned, you've got all kinds of games and things in your stream. That doesn't happen on its own. That's something you take the time to go research how to set this game up, how to do something different, how to even just brainstorming for a while. Like, oftentimes I might be doing something else, watching a show or playing a game, but I'll come up with, think of an idea. It's like, okay, I got to make a note of that,
Mm-hmm.
go back to figure out how to implement it later. And the hours of Googling sometimes. The hours of Googling. I just want to do this one simple thing. I just want a counter showing on my screen. How do I get this to count this particular thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just got to learn to program in C# and then do this and then do it's some of the simplest things take way more time than you would actually expect sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I spend a lot of my time doing that during the weekdays. And then in terms of the shop, most of that sort of just goes on at the shop. I will go and do some tidying up and some restocking and things on Friday when it's closed. But oftentimes you'll find me sort of using that as an opportunity to stream from the shop and sort of show off what's going on there as well.
Yeah.
As opposed to me just sitting in silence, sweeping and restocking cases, I can sort of show it off. So,
Yeah.
I try to make the most of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think that's kind of, as a full-time streamer, I feel that's probably pretty typical in terms of the amount of work put in, off hours. And you mentioned you're having a routine, on the Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays for your typical kind of daytime streams. What does Wednesday look like? Because you don't stream at the same time every day. Wednesday is your nighttime stream.
Yeah.
What does Wednesday typically look like for you? Do you have any set time to do that kind of work and other time to do, household things, real life things? Because it's pretty easy to be all consumed by this. How do you find that balance? And is Wednesday one of those days for you?
So Wednesday, I sort of almost view as my Saturday.
Okay.
Because again, I run the shop Saturday, Sunday. I stream 4 days a week. Well, one night a week, 3 days a week, and then Friday is often cleanup day at the shop, but it's only for a few hours. Wednesday is sort of yes, I still have chores to do and things that I have to do, but I try to relax a little bit. That's the day I sort of keep to myself. I might play some video games during the day. It's crazy, I know. That's right. But it doesn't mean that there's no work involved, because one of the big things I do on Wednesdays is prizes, because we I have to ship out prizes all the time. I think to date this year, I've gifted out, I think we hit 258 prizes today. Wow. This year alone. And I mean, when you start considering, okay, how many is that per week? There's, sometimes some weeks are just 3 or 4 prizes, which is easy to, pack up and ship out. But other days there's 10 or 15 or 20 things that I've got to pack up and get get all the mailing info. And it doesn't happen itself, unfortunately. I wish it did. But it's,
there's no boss.
That's one of the big things.
There's no boss to help you.
Yeah. Right. Okay. ChatGPT, can you create me a bot on just do all the mailing? Might need someone to take it to the post nanny.
We're not quite to that point where you're going to have a little service robot in your house to do that.
Not yet, but one day.
One day.
But yeah, that's when I'll do those sort of things. I do definitely spend time upgrading the stream on those days as well. If I have a larger project in mind that I want to get done, that I can't finish in the hour or two I have before stream on again, a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. That's what I'll usually do on a Wednesday. Spend a bit of time trying to implement something new, or researching how to implement something new, or just researching new things that are out there. Because that's the other thing. There's always the environment's always changing. There's new equipment, there's new programs, there's new updates that allow for new integrations, and you got to stay on top of it. If you want your stream to stay fresh, you got to stay on top of all that. So yeah, I'm watching videos on, this new camera that came out, or this new upgrade to StreamerBot, or this new, whatever it may be. So
yeah, nice. And there's 2 questions that come out of that. So the first one would be, you mentioned, maybe playing games on Wednesdays when you have some time, and obviously between basically the stream and the store being 2 jobs, they synergize well, but they're 2 jobs that take up a lot of your time, essentially working almost every day of the week. What do you do for fun? Finding balance is hard. So what hobbies do you have outside of Lego, since Lego is both a joy and a passion and a source of income? What other hobbies do you have that help you kind of take your mind off of all this? Because we all need that break, at some point.
Definitely. I have too many hobbies, too many to keep track of. So I'll stick with the ones that I actually managed to keep up with. The first thing I definitely do is I try to take the evenings off. So rather than stay in the mindset of work, or always focus on upgrading streams and updating streams, when I shut the cameras down at 3:30 or so on my regular days, I'll have streams open, but I usually don't really interact much with what's going on. That's when I go pick up my partner, Baby Little Truth. We'll do dinner, and then we'll have the night to ourselves. We'll watch something, go do something, whatever it may be. But I try to leave that as that time. Sometimes later in the evening, play a few more video games, something like that. But that's generally that sort of shutdown time at that point. One night a week, I do play Dungeons and Dragons, so I get to actually go out, hang out with friends, and I get to play at a brewery. I'm lucky, so we get beer and popcorn and all that good stuff.
Nice.
Get out all the dice and slay all the monsters, and it's a good time.
And I mean, it's funny because as a fantasy game, that's also real life interaction with your friends, at the bar versus the digital interaction with your community here. So how does that
Yeah.
kind of help you reset? Does that refresh things for you? Do you ever go there and be like, oh, I wish I didn't have to go tonight? Or is that always something you're looking forward to as something a bit different compared to the regular schedule?
No, it's something I definitely look forward to for sure. I mean, I'm an avid tabletop gamer because it's D&D Tuesday nights, and again, I get to hang out with people and just have a good time. Just chat and eat and roll dice, and it's not that I don't love my Twitch chat because they're fantastic, but it's not the same interaction because it's one talking to the many as opposed to when you're a group of people, it's a group that's talking to a group. Like you're interacting with each other a little bit differently, for sure. And like I said, I'm a tabletop gamer, so typically on Friday nights we go hang out with friends as well. So again, I do have that. I try to have a bit of a social life, I guess.
Yeah.
And we usually play games and things on like a Friday night as well. Usually board games of some form.
Yeah.
Which again is just a nice escape from everything. Again, I have tons of other hobbies that I want to get into, but just time.
Yeah,
what's that?
Yeah, there's only so much time you have for doing all the things. And one thing that I took a break from being around Twitch, and when I came back, one thing that was different in your stream was all of a sudden you were doing giveaways, but you were giving away dice, which obviously is related to that tabletop gaming, D&D passion and hobby. How did that come about? And was that something, get into your strategy for adding different segments to your stream? I would assume the dice thing was kind of more or less organic, but what happened there? How did that kind of come to pass in your stream?
That is an excellent question for sure. And I'm trying to remember back to the day it happened. But one thing I can say is, this should go for any streamer, is if you want to succeed, if you want to do well, you got to be yourself. You have to give your chat you. And as I just discussed, I am an avid tabletop gamer. I love dice. It's all a huge part of D&D. Of D&D, it's one of my favorite aspects is collecting dice. It's bad. It's really bad, but that's besides the point. So I think one day I was just showing them off because they were down here. I had them in a big bag down here, along with all kinds of other Lego. And so when I'm sorting things or stuff, I'll talk about other things that I do or other hobbies that I have. The chat gets to know me, and so I brought out this bag of dice. It's 10-pound bag of dice. It's just so many dice, and and there's a lot of reaction when I bring it out, sort of thing, right? And people are interested. And I'm like, I've got tons of extra dice. I could just, throw some up as some of the possible choices for giveaways, I guess. And it was getting a lot of traction. And even if it was just 5 or 6 people that were really interested, that was enough for me. It's you know what? If you like this, I'm not going to deny you it. So,
of course,
I started looking into ways that I could get, bulk amounts of dice for a decent price that I could start just giving them away on stream. And again, it's always nice to just get something in the mail sometimes, even if it's as small as a set of dice versus a few minifigures versus a set of Lego, whatever it may be. So it's fun to be able to ship those out as well. And very rarely do I have someone say, "Oh no, I don't want that." They're happy to get dice with Lego. And
it's always fun to win something. It almost doesn't matter what it is, right? But like you said, it's true to you to have those as an option, because it's a passion that you have. And I've been in your stream where you're showing off some dice, and you see some that you really like, and you're showing off the colors or the feel or the whatever it is, and you can hear in your voice that you're like, this is nice. I'm really loving doing this part of my stream, so like you said, if that comes through obviously on the stream, people are gonna also buy into it. I'm one of those people who never played D&D. I'm not interested in dice, but then when I hear you talk about them, I'm like, oh, yeah, those are nice. Maybe I should get some. So for sure, if I ever won some, I would definitely say yes, please. Like I wouldn't say no. But
Yes,
that kind
shiny
of,
click clacks are nice.
yeah, and that kind of comes along not just in terms of the content you're putting out on your stream, but in terms of your approach for like growing your community. You've grown from like any streamer starts out with not a lot going on to becoming a partner recently on Twitch. What was your strategy? Obviously, going in, you're kind of just figuring out how to do it, how to stream to begin with, and then what was it like to evolve from someone who's just kind of figuring things out to saying, oh, I think I'm going to grow and try to do this and have some success? How did that kind of evolution happen?
I mean, it's a good question for sure, and I guess going in, so I do have a bit of a background in computers. So like I have a degree in computer science. I at least know how to use a computer, and I can teach myself basic programs and things like that. I don't have too much trouble with that, which I think was a big benefit to deciding to do this for sure. So again, my strategy is, okay, I know computers, I know them well enough that I can learn this, the basics as to how to stream. I know Lego, so I have content that I can actually talk about passionately, not just, sure, I could talk about, I don't know, hamsters or something like that. Not that hamsters are great, but I can only go so far with hamsters. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not a topic that I'm going to be able to talk about day in, day in, day in, day out.
I don't think there's any hamster streamers on Twitch. I don't think that's a thing. Maybe.
Okay, well, there's an idea.
Someone
go on. There's got to be a hamster cam stream out there somewhere. But
yeah, that's called. Yeah, you're probably right.
So knowledge of how to do it, content to actually stream, and then the next thing I need is, of course, how to grow an audience. That one I'm not good with. If you had asked me, 5 years ago, would you ever sit in front of a camera and, chat on screen, make a video, post it on YouTube, something like that? I'd be like, no, are you crazy? What are you talking about? Like, I hate being in front of cameras. I don't let my family take pictures of me. I hate being in front of cameras that much. Well, look at me now. That obviously didn't work out at all. But so I got over that, I guess. In terms of growing the audience, the other idea was, of course, the giveaways. So I'm like, okay, weekly giveaways. That'll get people to come into chat and stick around, because the longer you're there, the more chances you have to win. So that's the hope, to sort of grow the audience.
Yeah, it's like a big win-win with giveaways, because people are happy to get them, so you're giving back to your community, but you're also giving people a reason to tune in for the first time.
Exactly. Not just for the first time, but to stick around as well. Yeah. And that's the other thing, is getting the staying power, because it's easy enough to start a stream up and then, you'll have people pop in and then pop out if you're not, engaging. If you're not, if you don't give them reason to stay, they're not going to stay, right? So that was my thing. It's not, it's not about the number of people that hit that follow button. It's about the number of people that actually stick around, that keep coming back and that sort of thing. So when I started, there wasn't this huge Lego community, because right now, if I go find somebody, I'll shout them out. I'll help them grow. We'll do our best to sort of bring, everyone's eyes to them. You can have your 50 followers in, a day or two, hit your affiliate within, the 2 weeks it takes to hit all the minimums, basically, and you're good to go. When I started, it wasn't like that. Same with you, right? It wasn't like that. So I want to say it took me 4 or 5 months or something like that to even just get the 50 followers to hit affiliate. Like months, not days, not weeks, months. And it was a slow grow, but I enjoyed what I was doing. I did have people, including actual real friends, that were supporting me through it at the time, which I cannot thank them enough for, because if it wasn't for them, there's a good chance I might have given up at that point. I also had the huge benefit of running into a few other people that started at that same time, that also saw, the good that I was trying to do. And so they came in and they helped out a lot. I don't know if you want me to name names or not, but, I'm trying to keep everything, relatively anonymous. But
yeah, no, it's fine.
The other thing is, to grow your audience, you have to be a presence in the community as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just go live, shut down, and then ignore Twitch.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately not the realistic part of it, is that Twitch is now your home. You have to go and see your neighbors.
Yeah.
You have to go, knock on their doors. You have to go say hi. And, I like doing that. I'm just really bad at it.
Yeah.
So you have to go.
You're really good at lurking, though.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I'll figure out what people are doing. So yeah, if they pop into my stream, I can be like, oh yeah, you're doing this, and it's great to see that and that sort of thing. Because I find it easier to talk it out than to type it out. Essentially, is still sort of one of my issues. I'm trying to get a little bit better at being more of a presence in the chatting community, but that was sort of a big thing that I did try to do, is at least pop into streams, say hi, say a couple of things. And that's still one of the hurdles I find that's hard for me to overcome right now, even, is just doing that enough.
Yeah. That was funny,
I'll be there to support.
You mentioned, again, like, that comes back to what we talked about earlier. Once you're, committed to doing, live streaming, regularly, it's not just about hitting the go live, shutting down, and done for the day. It's going to other streams, saying hello, being part of the community. Part of you being a pillar of this community is because of that. But that just adds to the kind of workload, so to speak, of I got to go and do this as part of, quote unquote, the job of being a streamer, is to be part of it. Not that it's not enjoyable, but it does, it is something that maybe it's, okay, I'm going to go and do this instead of go play my video games, Do you ever have a period where you're just like, I just can't do it today, and you take a day and back to it later on? Or is it something that you find fairly easy to kind of commit to, at least lurking and saying hello, even if chatting and maybe is not always your best part of it?
Lurking, like I said, I can do that all day long. One of the first things I'll do when I get in front of my computer in the morning, open up Twitch, see who's on, and I'll usually go lurk. There's not often a lot of people on in the mornings, I find, which is one of the reasons I took the time slot that I did. Again, having no real job during the week at the time made that a huge benefit on my part, as I could stream during this empty period.
Yeah.
But I'll do that, and then later in the evening, when I'm again in front of the computer, I'll definitely have a bunch of chats open. But I definitely, realistically, do get overwhelmed at the idea that there's 5 people that I do want to go and say hi to, but I know that as soon as I go into one and say hi, I'm now, I don't want to say stuck there, but like, you're in a conversation now. You can't just say hi and then leave. I feel like that's wrong. I want to make sure that I hear what's going on, and I'm sticking around. So it's like giving that time dedication, and much like answering an email, which I'm also really bad at, it's the same sort of idea. It's like okay, I know I have to do this. I'll just 5 more minutes of doing whatever I'm doing right now, watching this, playing that, doing this. That it's still something that I'm working on for myself, definitely, and that I'll have to figure my way over it. We'll get there.
Yeah, I mean, you've evolved quite a bit, as a streamer. You're still evolving as a streamer, as a person. I think we're all growing and learning as we go, right? I don't think 10 years ago when you started your store, you ever considered streaming, so who knows what's going to happen, 5 years from now, what you'll be doing, hopefully this an offshoot of it in some way, but, that's where, you don't know where life is going to take you, right?
For sure.
Have you like, when it comes to one of the unique aspects of Twitch from a growth point of view is the capacity to raid into other streamers. Did you ever have an idea of, I'm going to try to raid into this or that streamer, in the hopes of getting your name out there? Or was it always just trying to find another Lego streamer because my audience are Lego builders, so they're going to want to go into a Lego stream? Like, what has that process been like for you? Because I know that can be an issue, in terms of, am I being strategic with my raid, or am I just trying to, do what my community wants or something like that? Because that can be a thing,
Oh, absolutely. Because it's a difficult choice. I mean, even to this day, it's still a difficult choice of who to raid. So my main focus has always sort of been more about growing the community.
Mm-hmm.
So within the first year and a half, almost 2 years, it's always been almost always, let's say almost always been, okay, find someone that, the community may not know or may not know as well. Bring people over there to help grow the Lego community. Oftentimes you'll still find me looking for new people that, the community's unfamiliar with, or sometimes just brand new streamers, or, anything like that, just to,
Mm-hmm.
go over, say hi, introduce people to them. Again, I'll pop in, say hi, say a few things, and then I'm bad at it. So it's usually when I'm cleaning up too. That's another
Yeah.
whole other.
The rating part is hard at the end of your stream because that's when you're kind of shutting down. It's hard to really get
That's when I
super
have to
engaged.
leave. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me and for many people, it's the
Yeah.
same way.
It's almost the same for
gotta-
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. But I would say leading up to partners, when it's like, okay, I know that I have to be strategic sometimes, where that is definitely looking for some of the larger audiences.
Mhm.
Maybe break out from your comfort zone a little bit and go to some places that you're not as familiar with,
Mhm.
and realize that, hey, these are fantastic people too, and there was no reason to be worried about it at all.
Yeah.
Go say hi, go make new friends. It's a good thing. And then the other thing that's helped me is starting to introduce other things into my stream. So marbles on stream, that all came about with giveaways. And what that has done, of course, is introduced a new community that I can go and hunt for. And
Just to clarify, you said the marbles came about because of giveaways. Can you just explain what that means?
Sure. So what that means, every time we do a giveaway, it's always random. It's random who's going to win. We do a lot of instant giveaways on stream, and what I used to use was a program called Block Tools. Block Tools would just basically, everyone could enter their name into a sheet, and then it would randomly spin basically a wheel type sort of situation, pick a name, and that person just had to say something in chat, and then they won the prize. Plain, simple, easy. That is currently a dying program. It is not being supported anymore, and the owner is just sort of giving up on that and shutting it down because they don't have time for it. They're real life. They've moved on. They can't support it anymore, so that's understandable.
Yeah, that happens.
So exactly. It happens for a lot of people. So I needed a new, and I wanted other ways to randomly generate a winner. So I had found, again, this is part of that research process. You look for different ways and different games and different things to play. And Marbles on Stream is pretty much a random number generator, an RNG, which everyone can enter once. You can enter more than once, and then marbles roll down a track. And if you've ever watched, what's that guy's name? Those marble runs on YouTube. It's kind of like that, which is so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but they're very addictive. But it's just like one of those. You run through the track, and then first one that wins, that's the person that gets the prize.
Exactly.
So then I realized, well, I can do it for more than just physical prizes, because on our Wednesday draws, you spend points to enter tickets. So I'm like, well, I can keep running these marble games because people seem to enjoy them, and I'll just give away points for the Wednesday night giveaways instead. And it became more and more addictive, and then it became more and more part of the channel. And so I started rating marble streamers, and I've started to meet some other marble streamers, and literally found that one of them lives like 2 cities away from me and has actually come to visit, and I've met them in person. And yeah, it's crazy. It's a small world.
That's
right?
super cool. Yeah.
So yeah, getting into the marble community was a new way to meet new people that would come hang out, and helped with the whole partner application and all that.
And that also kind of comes full circles, because you mentioned getting into Twitch because of the drops for the game you're playing at that time, and Marbles also does drops, which you are now kind of hosting, and maybe as a way to get people to come and see you.
True. I mean, the drops are nice because they're automatic. So it's just, if you happen to have if you're just playing the game, then yeah, people can come in at the right time and earn their drops. Which, but you're right, it works really nicely and oddly full circle. But now I even see marble streamers that are starting to build Lego. So it's it's just sort of spreading like this.
Well, they read into you, and you're doing Lego and marbles on stream, and Lego is one of those things, and there's people who specifically do Lego on stream, the brick building community of streamers that basically only build Lego on stream. But a lot of chatters and gamers will take a break from the regular stuff they do to build Lego because it's so accessible to everyone, you know?
Yeah.
So you
Oh
see
yeah,
a
for
lot
sure.
of that. There's a lot of, interest across the board, in brick building, at least part-time on stream. I do have a boring question for you. You mentioned, Wednesdays you use for maybe doing some research, for updating, maybe buying new stuff. Do you like specifically budget for, okay, I'm going to get a new camera, or I need to get one of these, or I need to buy this program or this app? How do you kind of manage the business aspect of being a streamer? Do you set a budget? Do you just kind of take it as it goes when something comes up? Oh, I need that. I'm going to have to go get that and put money aside for next month or something. Like, how do you approach that?
So I'm kind of cheap. I try to get things on the cheap.
Fair. Yep. No, I think that's the way to go.
A lot of my starting equipment, for as an example, is stuff that I would look for on Kijiji and Facebook, and just look for secondhand copies. My cameras are a lot of secondhand, or things that I had lying around. Asking for little bits for for Christmas and birthdays and things like that, to slowly grow it up. But then, yes, there are things that still need to be budgeted for. So we've got to the point where I'm trying to be able to give away a huge Lego set, a large Lego set every month. So something that's valued at about $200 plus, somewhere in that sort of range. So yes, I do have a budget in mind, and that's sort of tied in with targets and goals that are on stream.
Okay.
So it's all very, very planned out as to, okay, if this, then that, so then then I can afford that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We hit that target early, we increase the target, we increase the prize, plain and simple. You want bigger prizes, then we'll do that for sure. So the big one, for example, when we gave Rivendell away, I had a huge goal set up for it, but I had to do a little bit of calculating. I'm like, you know what, I'll lower the goal a little bit, see if it's actually attainable. We attained that goal. We gave away a brand new copy of Rivendell. Someone was super excited about it. With cameras and things like that, I still sort of stay on the cheap, but there are some larger ones that I do kind of want to start to get. And I'm definitely starting to be able to put a little bit away to get the larger, the better equipment. But I still constantly comb things like Facebook and that sort of thing, just for, instead of spending $300 on a large Elgato Stream Deck, maybe get it for $150 or something like that. And
I think that's a good lesson for anybody. And it doesn't matter whether it's streaming or anything else. You don't have to get the best of something right away as you're starting. It's just a matter of getting started, right? So cobble together what you need, whether it's streaming in terms of getting some cameras and some basic stuff going. But yeah, living within the means of what is effective for you. You don't need the top end of everything on stream because people can't see it anyway, right?
No, I mean, I'm still using like I don't know, it's like a 48-inch TV as one of my monitors. It is not useful. Like, I mean, it's not the right thing to be using at all. Like my face cam sits in front of it, so there's a big chunk of it I can't even see. But you know what? It works for what I need it to do. And it didn't cost me anything because we already had it. I mean, I maybe had to buy the extra HDMI cord or something, but that's that's about it. The biggest expense that I had was just buying the actual computer, because I started on a laptop, and I realized very quickly that it was not going to be powerful enough for what I needed it to do. So the upgrade to a laptop a desktop is definitely the biggest expense that I've had to put towards streaming. But even that isn't necessary just to get started. I got started with the laptop that I had, which was at 5 years old at the time, and it worked just fine. So.
Do you consider yourself to be like entrepreneurial, like in the kind of that classical definition? I mean, you started a store. Yes, you had another job, but you started that. You've started this stream and grown it. That's kind of what entrepreneurs do. Do you consider yourself to be like in that mold at all, or is that something you've considered?
Nope, not at all. I am just a bumbling fool that is stumbling through life trying to figure out what to do tomorrow. It's just sort of worked for me, if that makes sense. I mean, like making like fiscal year planning and things like that's not my sort of gig.
Yeah.
It's more of
I was more
this
thinking
is
of the entrepreneurial spirit than the actual, 5-year plans and things like that. I mean, you did mention earlier your dad had a store, a shop of some kind.
yes.
So you must have picked up something about like kind of the retail and store, operations, along the way.
Yeah, it's probably why I was able to start what I did. So growing up, after my parents unfortunately separated, my dad ran a mattress store. He just sold mattresses, which is very boring, I realize, and he realized. So
But
he
everybody needs a
somehow,
mattress.
it's true. Like we lived in a small town, everyone needs a mattress. There's one place to go. That's where you're going to get it, plain and simple. But he realized like we had to go hang out there after school until the store closed and we had to go home. So he realized, well, maybe I should do something for the kids. So it started off with video games. He actually brought in video games, had this big mattress store, and then there was display counters with video games in it, and you could rent them and you could buy them, and it was a really weird combination, but it worked. Again, not many places in the town that were renting video games either. So I got to come home and play any games that I wanted that were in the shop. It was wonderful.
And a gamer was
That
born.
yeah, pretty much. That's where the gaming part of me started. I don't remember what exactly happened with the video games, but that kind of died. I think it was he had to move stores, like locations, still in the same town, but different location, much smaller. And then I had a babysitter who introduced me to Magic the Gathering, and then introduced my dad to Magic the Gathering. And my dad's always been sort of into cards and playing, like he used to play bridge, and I'm pretty sure a few other games and things like that. I remember that growing up too. So Magic, he sort of, he latched onto it. He definitely got interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we sort of learned to play together. And then he's like, well, what if I bring some boxes into the mattress store? So he sort of brought those in and like literally had them hidden in a dresser because he wasn't sure. He didn't own it at the time, so he wasn't sure if his boss would let him do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually he owned the store, and it turned into mattresses in the front and cards in the back, basically. So there was tables. He ran tournaments. He did all that kind of stuff. It was great. So I mean, yeah, I got to come home from school and play games, and that's where D&D came from, and that's where Warhammer came from, and all my gaming love came from literally that's what I grew up on, basically, is video games and card games and all that. So, yeah, I spent a lot of time there. I worked there, and I picked up a lot of do's and don'ts and that kind of thing.
I mean, it's such a, there's like in my mind, listening to that story, there's such a clear line between your dad kind of taking, okay, I'm running a mattress store, but it looks like there might be some interest in doing this, renting some video games or selling some Magic cards or running a whole tabletop gaming in the back of the mattress store. Like that sounds a lot like your approach to your stream, where you're like, this is what I'm going to do, but there's some interest in this. I can add that. I can add this. And it becomes, I mean, a mishmash feels like a bad word because there's like a negative connotation, but you add different layers and layers and layers to what you've done. And you can see, like, to me, a line of learning that example of, just because I'm doing A doesn't mean I can't also try to do B or C, and give everybody something that they can enjoy,
Yeah, and again, it comes to, do what you're passionate about, and that's why I bring these weird things into my stream. Start it with a mention. If there's a bit of interest, you just sort of grow it until it apparently becomes dice every day on stream or something.
But that's what it is. That's I think that when it comes to, being a better bean, whether that means being better at streaming, being better at a sport, being better at whatever it is, it's kind of knowing yourself and adapting to what kind of is put in front of you. And it seems like this whole story has been one of adapting to what's been put in front of you. I didn't have a job. I started this became my job. I came from a passion, a hobby, into a passion for streaming and for the community, because you can see in your streams the care you have for not just the content you're putting out in terms of dice or Lego, but also for the community itself.
It's been quite a journey for sure. That like you said, to be a better being, you just got to sort of go with it, roll with it, learn with it, and all that sort of thing, and make sure that it's, and like I keep saying, make sure that it's you. If it's you, then you're going to do well.
Yeah.
It's going to do good, I think.
Yeah. Do you have any like, I know we just talked about how, you know, you're not the fiscal 5-year plan person. Do you have any goals like for yourself now in the next 6 months to a year of where you'd like to see the stream go, or where you'd like to kind of go? Any ideas, things you can share? Maybe not secret plans for world domination, but you know.
No, those are tucked away. You don't get to see those.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay.
I'm just gonna move the camera a little bit. Okay, we're good. I think the big thing, and something I learned recently too, that again was never my bag to go and, you know, get into big crowds and meet people, but going to Chicago BrickCon made me realize how much fun it is to actually network with like-minded people that already sort of know you, where you feel a little more comfortable. So in saying that, I really want to be able to sort of start taking things, you know, not so much more on the road, but start traveling a bit more. Do things like TwitchCon. I would love to be able to go to TwitchCon this year, which if you'd asked me last year, again, while I was a streamer, it's like, no, I have absolutely no interest in going and, you know, being surrounded by these weird strangers and things like that. It's like, no, now I actually know people that are going, and I sort of see the interest in it. So yeah, in terms of the stream, I'd love to grow it, you know, get more of an audience, as always. I mean, that's every Twitcher's typical goal, is to, you know, keep growing your stream. But to get it to where you can get to go to these big conventions and meet more people and, you know, hang out with them, you know, go for pizza, you know, have a beer, whatever it might be, that was something that, again, just was never sort of in my wheelhouse of things to do, but it was so much fun. I'd love to be able to do more of that, not to mention just the traveling aspect of it.
Yeah,
you know, maybe get over to Europe and, you know, go to Billund and see, you know, the actual, you know, Lego world and things like that. But yeah, grow the stream, get to travel more, meet more people from, you know, from the community. That would be amazing. That would be top notch.
Sounds awesome. This has been great. So I want to thank you for your time before we kind of start wrapping up. Where can people listening to this, watching this, find you? I know we talked a little bit about your schedule at the outset, but where can we find the local brick shop? Not the store itself necessarily, but where can we find you doing your thing, talking passionately about Lego, dice, all manner of things? Where can we find you?
Well, I mean, if you are actually local, you're more than welcome to visit me at the store anytime you like. I'm located in a little town called Curtis, Ontario in Canada. Every Saturday, Sunday, you'll find me there. Curtis Flea Market. Go ahead, look it up. You'll find me. I'm one of the attractions there, some might say. But no, if you're looking for me online, twitch.tv/the local brick shop, easiest place to find me. Every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, again, 10:30 till 3:30, and then every Wednesday from usually 8 p.m. till midnight. Sometimes you'll find Fridays, and right now that's about all the sort of randomness I've got in there. I think I'm on Instagram under the local brick shop as well. I don't know that Twitter's going anywhere right now, probably downhill, so probably don't look for me there, but it's I think local brick shop there. those are probably the main platforms you want to find me, and awesome. We have a Discord, but come see me on Twitch. Yeah, awesome. Go find me there.
Awesome. Local, thank you so much for the chat, for sharing your story with us. Really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. This has been great.